Hi, I'm Brenda Such. Welcome to COIPcast, where we talk about new, trending, or just fascinating topics and technologies in online education. For those of you who create online courses, there are many steps and items that go into the production process. The needs of a course drive how it's designed and built, and sometimes those needs may relate to a subject area. How can we then focus our energy on building courses in that subject area? At the University of Florida, we have a dedicated course production team that supports the College of Education. Joining us from E-Learning Technology and Communications, or ETC, are Senior Director Jason Arnold and Assistant Director of Educational Programs, Domenic Durante. Welcome, Jason and Domenic.
Thank you.
I do.
And thank you ahead of time for providing us a glimpse of what it's like to design for courses related to the College of Ed.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the welcome.
Ready? Here we go. So our show has 3 segments where we'd like to get to know your thoughts and experiences related to the past, present, and potential future aspects related to online education. In our first segment, Digital Origin Story, or DOS, please tell us how ETC started with the production of online courses and when did you join ETC? Domenic, we'll start with you first, and then Jason.
Oh, wow. So ETC started, you know better, actually started in 2003.
Oh, so not super
before
long
I
ago.
arrived by 6 years. I feel like I've been there as long as it has.
No.
But yeah, it started in 2003. When I arrived, it was in 2009. So I've been in online instruction for quite a while. And it was, we were a small group of, I think, 4 or 5 people. And so that was my first, I worked the help desk because at the time, this is how small online learning was. We just had a Moodle server that was in one of our closets.
That's right. College of Ed had Moodle. That's right.
We ran Moodle, and I administered Moodle. And we ran Moodle and just had a handful of courses in there that we administered. Kept working in online learning. It's been amazing to see it transform from being an alternative platform to being a traditional one that people expect online courses in higher ed now, whereas back in the day in 2009, it was a bit of a boutique thing and people really didn't think
It's
of
crazy because it wasn't that long ago. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
And so it's amazing to see its growth.
Right.
Yeah.
How about you, Jason?
Well, I joined ETC a little later, actually a lot later.
Okay.
I joined as the assistant director at that time. I came from Lastinger Center, where I was designing curriculum for the state
Sure.
for early childhood. And my background has been designing curriculum for the state for many years before that for leadership. So those are more short form courses. Micro courses is what we call them now. And kind of that's where we're headed. Everybody's kind of in that
micro,
in that area.
Quick, yeah.
But as I came in as assistant director, we were smaller. We were working on traditional courses for the college. There were some early adopters of innovative technologies and some less early adopters of technologies that would engage students. So we changed the office, the look and feel of the office. And that's when it became truly e-learning technology and communications, I believe, is the leaders in the office, including Domenic, designed a team that actually focuses on video production, static design, branding, traditional instructional design like course production.
Tack that on.
bread and butter there.
That's right.
But a heavy emphasis on communications. So our office was communications heavy. So there's marketing, recruitment early on, and that influenced the way we approached instructional design. So instructional design, there's a lot of methodologies out there, but approaching it like a marketing project flipped it a little bit and let us focus on what is the customer really looking for? How do they want to be engaged? So it was less about what the teacher was presenting and more about the engagement.
How did even just a college get their own support system versus like a central system? Do you all know anything about that? Yeah,
Jason, you probably know more about that. That was with Tom Dana and distance learning fees involved. So
Well, I would say just for the general mass audience, whoever that may be.
The great
Anyone who listens to this, if you want to start your
all
own
of you.
group at your college, here we are.
Yeah, it was out of a need for students who were outside of, they couldn't get to campus. So essentially it was giving them a chance to get to campus. Dr. Dana at the time, Thomas Dana, was the associate dean at the college. He had participated in World Campus at Penn and used it as a model to start a testing ground here because there weren't a lot of online courses. So he really was the innovator in that space of trying to bring that to the university. There weren't a lot of online courses at the university.
Which
so
again, is like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Right.
But because learning has shifted and the different needs in learning and technology integrations, that allowed us to grow and include instructional technology, which is typically a separate department, or communications, which is typically a separate department, production, which is different than ID. And that was essentially to save money. I'll be very blunt about that.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's I think some of the things that the listeners are going to be like, well, that's great, but we only have X budget, so this is very helpful.
Right. And today, as we're sitting here now, only about a quarter of our office is funded by state funding. It's all soft funding. So we've grown, but it's out of a drive to improve education for all the other subject areas out there. So College of Medicine,
Nutrition.
Nutrition. So all of these areas, I think we're influencing how they're doing business. And I think that was always the goal.
Okay, well then great. So then to dive more into that, so in our next segment, Bits and Bytes, we look at the present. Let's start off with so what are some of the top online programs, like with either U.S. News and World Report? Yeah.
All of our graduate programs, we're ranked number 2 now. We've been ranked number 1 or number 2 for the last 9 years.
Yes.
That's a pride point for us. Counselor education is still ranked number 1. It's been number 1 for years now.
Yeah.
Our ed tech program is ranked highly.
Yeah.
Ed leadership is one of our big
leadership.
Awesome leadership.
Yeah. And all of those programs, including the college, have continued to grow in their rankings. And we're super proud of even our face-to-face courses, working with them. So online is mostly what we do, but we do influence a lot of the face-to-face courses.
Good.
So
When do you sleep? I feel like
does it all.
I
was like, everything you say, I feel like there's another thing that you all do.
And I think one of the challenges also for the College of Ed versus the rest of the colleges is that we work with the people who do research on educational technology. We do research in RAM. And so it's a quite of an intriguing relationship when you're working with people who get their PhD in the very thing that is your career. And so it's a dynamic relationship we have with our faculty, because they're not just experts in what they do, they're experts in what we do in our own shop.
That's great. So how does that match? Obviously all of us are in similar situations where it's boots on the ground, got to make decisions, applications in the trenches. But then when you're working with people who actually have the time to be like, oh yeah, research says what you're doing is, you got it. How does that come up? Do you have conversations? Do they tell you maybe let's try this?
In terms of course development, every course is different depending on the subject matter expert. I mean, it's just that to me is the crucible of a quality course. Of course, we have the parameters of quality matters and you have markers and processes and chunking and research. But at the end of the day, it's that kind of formative relationship you have with that faculty member. And each one is very distinctly different from the other. The ed tech folks in particular, some faculty members, they have a plan and we're there to facilitate their course design. Others, it's a kind of quid pro quo. We're going back and forth on what's the best path. And some just are just give me something, a template, and I'll do the rest. Okay. And so each one is
great. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that kickoff meeting for me, I know it's a lot. it starts the process of course development, but for me, it's more of a sizing up of what the subject matter is doing and how excited they are to design a course.
Okay.
And then so if they're like, I don't have time,
Right,
then
right.
it's going to be a challenging course. But if they are invested and they're excited about what they do, then that's when you can create some really high quality courses, because you do have that ID process that's going to keep everything well organized and running in good order. But then you have that faculty member in there that's creating that teacher presence of like creating great announcements and jumping in discussions and connecting all the dots within that platform. So.
And I think it's important, like the humility there of working with a faculty member who has a great deal of research in the area. It's important to realize that the conversation there, the dialogue that we're having with them, they bring something to the table, we bring something to the table. We recognize that as we have that discussion, they rely on us to stay cutting edge on what's happening out there. And we rely on them to tell us what's happened that they've researched. And, you know, sometimes research lags a little bit. And most faculty are they own up to that. They're transparent, and working with them, they'll say, I think this gets engagement, but let me know.
Sure.
What do you think?
Sure.
And we have to kind of go back and forth with that.
Wow.
Yeah, but the teacher presence is teacher is the thing, and that's why our courses are ranked so highly. We do a lot of work, but our faculty are dynamite. And
that's awesome.
We've been really lucky to have such strong faculty.
With all the different aspects that you all manage, can you walk us through like how you juggle everything? I think that might be something our listeners might be also very interested in. I mean, again, I'm hearing you have to focus on the instructional design. That's the bread and butter.
Yeah.
You also have the multimedia. You have the marketing, the communications. I think maybe a little bit more of the marketing communications part that people might not know how that fits in to like an instructional design.
If I
unit.
take that? Yeah. So the communications is super important for every institution, right? I think we can all agree on that. And teaching and learning is a form of communications. I don't compartmentalize things.
Yeah.
I think everything kind of blends together. So in the vision of it, it wasn't completely my vision. I shared this with the dean. We thought about how to take on why we have the communications department in e-learning.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we define like what is communicate? Is it like the function, or you actually have designated people to
designated communications and recruitment people? Yeah. So it's
like
traditionally.
Is it like enrollment?
No. That's great. These are good questions because it's helping me define it a little bit better for you. It's public relations experts, people who write speeches, PR pieces, press releases, and those that actually work on SEO, but at the communications level and at the web level to make sure that we're driving traffic to the stories that we want people to learn about. Having that within our department allowed us the chance for them to be embedded in the actual work.
That's cool.
So like ethnography, they're a part of the conversations that are happening between the IDs, the faculty. When we get a grant, communications is usually a part of the upfront and not just the back end of it where they're reporting about what happened and trying to understand it, post.
At the end. Trying to catch up.
They're a part of it, and they're getting a bead on what's happening in the situation. How will this actually have impact out in the wherever the actual impact is going to happen, hopefully with real people in our state. And having them there has taught us something for education. I know I'm moving my hands around.
Oh, no, you're fine. As long as you don't hit the mic.
I'm trying. I'm not going to do it.
You're just shadow boxing it. Yes.
Yeah. But in communications research, there stories are shorter. You're cutting from A to B camera quicker. You have more cuts because the attention span's shorter. You probably heard a few years ago, it was a couple of years ago, they were talking about 6-second stories, and people were like, "What the heck is a 6-second story?" And
Like,
it's
we're
really
gonna make a
like,
reel. Here we
so
go.
Vine?
Yeah.
Was that Vine back in the day?
Yeah, let's get it down to 5.
Yeah.
6 seconds is too fast. So that actually does impact the way we learn. The
Sure.
media we consume, whether it be, I'll use YouTube Shorts because that's a thing that people understand, or Instagram Stories.
Sure.
You are learning in that
Right.
space. It's a very Vygotskian, right? Like you're
Right.
doing like this naturalistic learning that actually influences the way people think about subject matter. And we all know this intuitively, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's becoming more a part of instructional design. But I like to think that we jumped on that really early because the communications teams and the instructional design folks were meeting very regularly to talk about these things of how do you keep engagement in a commercial? And
Sure,
how does
sure.
that impact this faculty member's course?
Yeah.
And we started applying those things as kind of a proof of concept to test it out.
That's a nice segment into our third segment where the future. For our last segment, Tech Forward, what do you think the future of online education will be like for students in education? And even just one, let's start with one, for students in education. And then two, to piggyback off the things that you all have been saying, I appreciated seeing the evolution of what you all started with, what you all are experiencing now. What do you even think that would evolve to like in the next 5 years? I mean, even 5 years, 2 years. I'll give you 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's pre-AI and post-AI. I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest delineation at this point of, I don't know what, in 5 years from now,
will you have even more departments? I mean, more.
well, it's funny because we used to think that online instruction was the cutting edge, and now it's very traditional. And so now we've
Everyone's
got
like, "Oh,
micro
take an online
courses,
class."
and now we've got micro courses that are like 1 minute, 3 minutes long. And so
And
Go
I
ahead.
think that's really marketing influencing.
Yeah.
Again, it's society and the way we learn kind of changing based on the technology. So like, I'll approach the first part of the question, education. How will it change education?
Yeah, and for the student experience, for sure.
Yeah. So, I'll say it in software development, you go through an iterative process. We're talking about shorter form courses and putting people in classrooms earlier. And there are some scary pieces of that, preparing teachers or leaders that are going to that. I mean, I started in elementary, pre-K actually, and then kind of moved up, and I have a great love for that work. I know that that's going to change though over time, and it will include people in the space who are learning as they're doing it. But that's kind of what we're all doing right now.
Sure.
And we have to be open to that cloud of unknowing. Like we have some uncertainty that we're going toward, and education is going to be like that. So we can't define it in 5 years because we don't know what's going to be happening.
That's fair. That's
but
fair.
we can say, I think all of us here could probably say it's going to be more immersive. It's going to be more dialed in for each individual, so personalized, and it's going to be shorter form, and that some people get scared of that, and I vacillate between
being scared or not,
and being really excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing with the 8-year-olds who are helping design the AR experience, we worked with a group of 8-year-olds to design
that's
this.
adorable. Like, can we have
It is
unicorns?
adorable.
You're like,
maybe not today.
Not today.
It's actual real wildlife in Florida. They're focused on that right now.
That's cool.
But the in that role, these kids are getting the opportunity to actually help design the interface and the experience. And as they're talking to the researchers, and that's a research team led by Dr. Nigel Newbutt, and who's the lead researcher on that work with Irene Cow. And then you have our team that is leading the Macy
Development, it
Geiger,
sounds
the
like it,
development and
Design.
the work with the kids. they're able to kind of discuss with these kids why they're giving the opinions. And a lot of the things we're hearing are, well, this isn't like Pokemon Go, which is very quick, gamified, very short form. This isn't like Minecraft or whatever it is.
And I'm sure they're like, why not? Roblox. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah. And they love it still, but it's giving us other feedback, which is the learning style is changing with these kids. And it's already changed. It's just this evolution that's taking place over time. What's great about it is we're all getting to see it and participate in the process, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
So, Domenic, when you meet with an instructor, and let's say in the College of Education, and knowing that we in the College of Education already have that, knowing that things are going to change, how would you like help a faculty member on this path of evolution, like, to even go from one step to the hey, we're gonna be cutting these experiences much shorter, in
terms of like videos we've cut. One of the ways I think, and you've experienced this, is like taking a professor or taking a faculty member who's taught 50-minute lectures and then saying, oh, you have to reduce these to 7-minute videos, that we always get that pushback of, am I going to get all that knowledge conveyed to my students? But, you always give them alternatives. And it's not that your videos have to be only 7 minutes. It's just you have to have the student to engage in that learning on a much higher level than just sitting there staring at a screen for 50 minutes straight. And we've had courses like that. But I think one of the things I always, when I work with faculty, is like pedagogy carries the day. I mean, when even early on in online instruction, when I'd meet with faculty members who never taught in online, they always like, do I have to recreate myself and tear everything down? It's like, you don't have to start from scratch. Good teaching is good teaching. We'll pair the tools to your style. But at the end of the day, how involved you are in the course will make what carry the day and whether that course is good or not. And so I think that always relaxes them when they know that they can see themselves in the course. You can add tools, AI tools, this tool, but at the end of the day, when they see, especially if we create quality video of themselves and they see like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing myself conveying this information with graphics and animation and B-roll, and they're like, they see themselves in a different light. And that's what our goal is with instructional design. I won't surprise you, but I'm pretty old. Don't let the gray hair.
No, but I think we're all in the same boat. I think I got here. You go, camera I one. I got gray hair.
Both beautiful.
So I grew up in Silicon Valley, so I've seen the computer revolution, the internet revolution, the .com revolution, the social media revolution, the online revolution, the AI revolution. And so there's always that, all those revolutions have this very predisposed, hype to them. And then when you have a faculty member who has to enter that fray, it's good to just alleviate them and say, at the end of the day, quality teaching is the most important thing. And we can take we're going to try to translate you from your face-to-face self into a medium that can convey that information even better. And I think that usually assuages many faculty members.
Well, thank you both. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you those who are listening, who are watching. Until next time.